Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock. Been in a little bit of a recording hiatus, so I'm really actually super excited today. I was like, oh my gosh, look what's on my calendar. I get to do a podcast interview. So I'm really excited to be sitting down with Anat Peri, and she is the inner child healing expert and also the renowned creator and master facilitator of the TCS method. And I'm going to let her talk about what the TCS method is. So yeah, so welcome, Anat.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks for having me on. I know we've been, trying to schedule this for a while, so I was super excited for this too.
Yes, well, I'm happy excited to learn from you, and I'm always smiling so big for those watching the YouTube video portion of this interview, because I have chats with my guests beforehand, and I'm just like, ooh, let's talk about that. Ooh, let's talk. And so that's exactly what we were just saying is, oh, that's good stuff. Let's talk about it. So first, let's talk to people about what is TCS method.
Well, TCS stands for my company name, Training Camp for the Soul, which is really what it is. It is a training ground for your soul, for you to discover who you really are. And the method is something that over the past 9 years that I've had my business, came to fruition out of many of my clients saying like, this is incredible. I want to learn to do what you do. And I'm like, I don't know how to teach this. I don't know what this is. And then really setting the intention about 5 years ago to map out what is this method? What is this process? How am I really, how can I really pass this on and duplicate myself? And now I have a certification program where I certify coaches, healers, and therapists in my method. And the method is it's a body mind approach. So it's really about bringing both the body and the mind working cohesively together. I've been in this industry for 19 years, and I spent the first 10 years of it in the world of mindset and NLP and all that. And I see its value, I also saw the gap of where it didn't bring me to my own healing and transformation. And then discovering the world of somatics and plant medicine and inner child work, and seeing the benefit of both and seeing how well they work together and the importance of both. That it's also not enough to just do breath work all the time or just do somatic work and not know what is the subconscious belief here that has me act out this way. And so the method is really a combination of both, and with a foundation of creating safety, nervous system regulation, and then inner child reparenting.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'm so glad you brought up that point. So it's so valid and beautiful that not everything's always going to work at there's not a cookie cutter solution, right, to fixing things that we
Hmm.
do have to integrate so many different things. And while one thing may work at one moment, it may not work at another, but we can go back to it and just to find that thing that works for us in the moment. You and I were talking beforehand, and I said when my mom was sick last year and I was flying back and forth, being introduced to the somatic healing, I think that's so very important. And I'm so glad you do that work because just honoring that in our bodies, right? And being able to, oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to give you the warning that Sammy, my therapy dog, or Labradoodle, who's also a therapy dog, is in here with me, and she never makes a sound, but she just barked. So
Oh, she's excited. She's cheering you on. She's like,
yeah,
"Yep,
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree."
Sammy, she never makes peeps. Sam, what's going on, baby? Come here. Anyway, sorry about that. So anyway, yeah, the somatic piece of it, gosh, so very important. So yeah, again, I say
Well,
thank you for that.
there's you're welcome. There's also an importance of a process of recognizing that healing isn't. I was just on a call with a client earlier today, and she's fairly new to the healing space, and she was like, "So is am I healing just by becoming aware?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, awareness is just stage one. So in my process, I really teach that there's 5 stages to healing, and uh when people understand this and understand the stages, whether you're a practitioner and you're working with a client or you're an individual and you're looking to heal something, to be able to understand these stages really shows you where you're at and what's left or what stages you skipped. Like for me in my early years of my own healing, I was going from stage one, which is awareness, which there's a lot of layers there, to stage five, which is integration. Like, oh, the very mindset approach of, oh, you don't want this, just say this instead, instead of doing the deeper healing work. And so I like for people to understand that so that they can have hope again, or for their own healing. And if you're a practitioner, so that you can have more direction than like, where am I going with this client? Where are they at? Are they actually healing? You could
Right.
identify what stage you're at.
Yeah. What are stages 2, 3, and 4?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know? I know. I
Oh.
left it. I left it as a cliffhanger, right? So, I'll back up real quick. Stage one in awareness, it's not just being aware of whatever's triggering you, it's also being aware of what your patterns are. What protectors do you use because you don't feel safe? And then identifying what ways you need to source safety and how to cultivate safety, and what beliefs are there. What did you learn there? So there's a lot to discover. I call it like the discovery process. Let's become aware of everything here. Let's lay out the whole script of your life on the table here and start to review it. Stage two is acceptance. And acceptance is nothing to change, nothing to fix. And accepting meaning, oh man, if I have to be with this and nothing to change, nothing to fix, it's going to bring up a lot, because our approach a lot of times is, I don't want to feel this way. So how do I stop feeling this way? How do I fix this? And right there, this is where people get stuck in stage two. Stage two, a lot of times, is where people need handholding. And it's not a stage that you can rush. And it really is, to me, the energetic somatic stage. It's where, okay, this is bringing up a lot of emotions for you, or you were already triggered. That's what had you come to work with me, or to, look at yourself, dive in. You identified in awareness what's there, and now there's just a lot for you to feel through. And so this is a stage where um, I want you to imagine that you're in the ocean. You're in deep in the ocean of your emotions. And you just want to come to shore. You want to come back to like feeling peace, calm, happy, that homeostasis. And the thing is that you need to learn to ride the waves. And so awareness is, sorry, acceptance is getting on that getting on that board, riding the wave, as opposed to resisting it, or stuffing it down, or trying to fix it. And sometimes one wave, if you've ever watched a surfer, they can catch one wave that brings them to shore. Meaning sometimes it's just one big emotion and release that you need to have, and you feel great. And sometimes it's multiple. There's layers to it. It's okay, first I feel I'm angry, and it's like, hey, ride that wave. And then I'm resentful, and then I'm sad, and then, oh, okay, I'm at shore. So it's like working with someone and really accepting everything that's coming up for them until they feel calm.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
then,
And I have to just tell you really quick. So,
yeah.
and those who've been longtime fans of this show over the last 7 years have ridden along these waves with me on my own my own journey. And being out on the beach here, I live on beautiful Hilton Head Island, one of my favorite places in the world. But being out on the beach, as we continued to do the healing work and peel the layers away and peel the layers away, suddenly being out on the beach was causing me very heightened anxiety because I was feeling trapped in an open space. And so we were doing EMDR work around it, somatic work around it, like just, tapping into doing some tapping and EFT, like just trying a lot of different modalities to try to just come to terms, like, where is this coming from? And so yesterday I've been doing some really great work as far as moving ahead and processing whatever that trauma hold was that was still there. So yesterday, or is today Tuesday? Yes, went Memorial Day yesterday, went to the beach, and tide was starting to go out, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take my chair and I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to plop in the surf and I'm going to bring my book with me and I'm just going to plop. And I said, it is what it is. Like, this is it. Like, this is my life. what trauma has happened to me, and I've done incredible healing work. I'm so proud of myself. Like, I just gave myself a pep talk, and I was like, ghosts can't kill me, is what I said out loud.
Mhm.
And I was like, ghosts cannot kill me. And so I just kept saying it. And so I took my chair, walked out there, plopped down in the surf, and then physically forced myself to look to the right and all the open beach space. I mean, people were down on the surf playing, and it was Memorial Day and kind of crowded. And I looked to the left and made myself look at this vast, beautiful openness. And I'm telling you what, it was as if this wave, like you just said, just came over me. Like I was on shore. Like that's where I was, in the now, in the moment, in my chair with the book. And I was like, all right, I'm here.
Yeah. I love that you share that and how divine, right? How
Right?
perfect that I use that metaphor.
Yeah.
So when people tell me that they're experiencing a lot of anxiety, I'm like, so anxiety to me isn't actually the feeling, it is the running from the feeling. You're running, 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 having to keep go, 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 go from something.
Yeah.
And so there was something that you were running from there. And, I want to say that you accepted, right? Like you owned whatever it was that you were experiencing. And I get this question a lot of like, okay, how do I ride the wave? And it's owning the I am statement, whatever that is. Like I'm angry or I'm resentful or I'm sad. So, and what is it to own it? It's to let it take up space. And if I told you, Teri, that you're on stage and it's a one woman show and you can't tell the audience I am dot dot dot, but you have to give them the experience of it, which means you have to embody it and experience it. Because I find a lot of people, even when they're accepting something, when they're accepting a feeling, they're not fully feeling it. They don't know. We as a society have forgotten what it is to be human. We are doers, we are thinkers. And so we forgot what it is to embody and really feel an emotion all the way through. And so this is to me the somatic practice, what I tell my clients to do all the time. I'm like, hey, you're on stage, and if who you're being, what is there for you right now is I am angry or I am resentful or I am disheartened or, you know, sad, then act it out. Use your whole
Gosh.
body.
Yes. Oh, I'm
What's
so,
the facial expression of someone who feels, let's say, hopeless, right?
yeah.
Or angry? What's the body language? What sounds would you emote? And I set a timer with my clients for 90 seconds because Harvard did a study that an emotion can move through you in 90 seconds. The reason that most of us aren't moving our emotions, feeling our emotions, and having them discharge and dissipate in 90 seconds is because we're not feeling them. We're resisting them. We're stuffing them down, all these things. And so I set a timer for 90 seconds. I'm like, this is your 90-second show. Fully feel it, fully act it out. And again, it's that wave. And sometimes it's just that one wave. And what's actually happening is that you're working with your nervous system. So your nervous system's always working for you. It's either it's listening for danger, right, for threat, or for safety. And when there's safety, it goes to learn and expand. And when it senses threat, it puts you into protective mode, fight, flight, AKA anxiety, right? Fight, flight, freeze, or please. It's kind of like it puts you in this bubble where you can't really touch it, but the feeling's still there. So then you're
Yeah.
experiencing anxiety, and then this feeling is still there. And so your nervous system's always working for you, but not necessarily with you. And so this is how you start to work with your nervous system. When an emotion comes up for you and you accept it and you say, okay, first track where you feel it in your body.
Mhm.
Best as you can. It's not perfect, but it's like, oh, it's in my solar plex. And then name it in sensation. Because when we speak in sensations, we're speaking the language of the nervous system. And right there, what you're doing is you're letting the nervous system know this is safe because I'm speaking that language. And so you're opening the door to the nervous system now being working with you at this. And now you get on stage, so to speak, and you fully embody it and allow yourself to express it for 90 seconds. What you're doing is you're giving 90 seconds of data to your nervous system to get familiar with this quote unquote uncomfortable energy. The only reason it's uncomfortable is because it's unfamiliar. Because let me tell you, plenty of people are comfortable with anger, uncomfortable with peace, right? Comfortable with
Yeah.
chaos, uncomfortable with joy. So it's not about good or bad. It's about whatever's trained and programmed in your system. So what you're doing now is you're saying, I'm safe, I'm fully being it, learn this. So your nervous system says, okay, let me metabolize this and get familiar with it. And as it gets familiar with it, now it's not uncomfortable anymore. So it's not that we don't have these thoughts, these limiting beliefs, these triggers, these challenging moments anymore in our life. We do. It's that our nervous system is trained to know what to do in those moments. So it doesn't get stuck in our system and cause us to go into a fight, flight, freeze, please response. And so what's happening is you're building your capacity to handle more energy, more emotions, to feel more, to be more whole.
Yeah. And I love it. And as you spoke, I'm not kidding around. It's just like the way this is aligning. When I was sitting out there and I sat in the water for an hour. Like it was so soothing. I just find the ocean healing for my soul and my body. And so I drug my chair back up and I was sitting there and I was like, okay, and talking to myself and feeling it and allowing it. And then I said, Teri, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you just get up and start walking down the beach right now? And my, it was like my body said, oh, well, we would need to belly crawl across the sand. And I just was like, okay, so you would need to belly crawl. So, what would that look like? And so I literally laid down on my belly in the sand, no towel or anything. Like I just laid down in front of my chair and it was the really soft, like it's the beautiful, we were up high. So we were in the soft
Mhm.
instead of the compacted sand. And I just laid there on my belly and there was like this little stick in front of me. And so I was like, drawing in the sand with it and everything. And I didn't belly crawl, but I laid there in it. So it was almost like what you just said. So I'm so glad you said that. And just kind of
Mhm.
just allowing my body to be like, okay, honoring what my body told me it would want to do.
Yeah, honoring who you're being, what you are experiencing. You're honoring that feeling. And like I said, sometimes one feeling brings you to shore, right? One wave brings you ashore. Sometimes there's a 90-second wave of whatever that feeling was. And then I always check in with my clients after 90 seconds. I'm like, what's there now? And they'll be like, now I feel this one, right? I'm
Yeah.
angry now. Or like, I feel nauseous. I'm like, hey, grab a bucket. This one I love. This happens to a lot of people that are stuffing their emotions is they'll get to a point where they feel nauseous. And I'm like, don't swallow, ride that wave. Ah, ah,
Yeah.
ah. Right? Imagine like ride the wave of nausea. And then they start getting burps because that's how their body's discharging all that energy they stuck down. And then they might, oh, now I'm really sad. Now, whatever, oh, you've been stuffing sadness down. Now the sadness comes and now the peace comes. So sometimes it's, 3 or 4 waves before they come back to shore. And so that is the stage of acceptance, the somatic practice that's there, and the working with the nervous system so that we can build our capacity more.
Beautiful.
Now, now stage 3 is getting to the root of it. And this is where we tie in the mind. We explore, well, who did I learn this from? Who modeled this to me? What beliefs were there? Because in the discovery, the awareness phase, you're saying things like, well, I just, I don't feel like I'm good enough, or people don't listen to me, or I just can't, people always disappoint me, or I don't trust myself, whatever comes out. Like these are beliefs. And in some point in your early years, by the time you were 7 years old, You learn this. Everything's learned by what you see, hear, or feel energetically, predominantly from your role models, mom and dad. And you either copy, rebel, meaning do the opposite, or you create a way to survive it if it was a specific incident. And so this is where we get to explore, well, who modeled this to you? Whose energy is this? And mom is the role model for the self. So you learn everything about yourself, whether you copy or rebel, from mom. And this is because at one point, mom, you were mom, mom was you. You were connected to her. And so when you were born, you didn't see mom as separate. You saw mom as an extension of you. So we look at mom as our role model for the self, and we look at dad as the role model for everything that's not the self, for others, for the world, for a relationship with others. And so in this stage is where we get to explore whose energy is this, or who modeled this to you, or when was the first time that you experienced this, so that we can edit the script. Because it's not enough to just somatically release things. If you're not changing the script, you're not changing your behavior, and therefore you'll just reinforce it. This is what I've seen a lot in the breathwork space and the psychedelic space, both of which that I spent years in, is you could have powerful releases and ahas. But if you don't know what it is that you're changing on a subconscious level, you're just tomorrow going to go out there and behave the same way and reinforce the same stuff to then need to do another plant medicine ceremony or breathwork session to move the energy thematically. And so it's so important that we identify that and take control of our script again. Go from surviving a script that we inherited, sometimes for generations, to being the creator of our reality. And so that's what getting to the root, stage 3, is all about, that exploration of, let's say if mom modeled it to you, and what did you need from her? Like being in that exploration of like, I remember being 5 years old and I was in the kitchen with mom and I was quick and the plate fell and it broke. And she was just like, "You're so stupid. Why don't you slow down?" And it's like what I needed from mom in that moment was to be like, "Sweetheart, it's okay. It's okay. It happens. It's okay to make mistakes." And so we do that exploration of like, what did we need so that we can start to go into stage 4, which is the reparenting and rewiring. Learning to reparent yourself, to give yourself what you needed to hear, what you needed to feel, and then rewiring it and coming up with the new affirmations, the new script, so that we can wire that in. And that's stage 4. And then stage 5 is the integration and the stabilization. And this is the most important stage because up until then, you're just in training. But this is the stage where lasting transformation happens. And it's for the big things in your life, like the big identities. Like if you're a people pleaser and you want to shift to being someone that prioritizes themselves and knows how to say no and set boundaries, you're looking at about an 18 months to integrate that. So this
Wow.
is the stage I always tell people, I'm like, you need to be kind, compassionate, and patient with yourself as you are crossing a bridge here. It's a bridge from the old you to the new you, from being a people pleaser, for example, to being someone that puts themselves first. And the bridge can be wobbly at times. Just like when you plant a seed in a garden, it doesn't mean tomorrow it sprouts and gives you fruit. You have to tend to it. And over a season or two, then it gets solid, right? It starts to germinate, sprout, grow deep into the ground with the roots, and start to really bear you fruit. We're the same way. And so giving space and time for the moments where you will take a step back in the wrong direction, right? You'll fall off the horse. It's not about getting it perfect. It's about how quickly can you recognize it and get back in practice of who you are stepping into being, who you're creating yourself as.
Yeah. And you said the word rewiring, and I know we talked before hit and record about a really cool, you had such a cool story. I was talking to you about cryotherapy, and you were talking cold plunging, and just the rewiring and the retraining really of the nervous system, the rewiring of the brain, and I mean all of that is connected, right? And so
Hmm.
yeah, I loved what you had to say, and so we were like, oh, let's talk about that on the show. So
Yeah, let's do it.
yeah, let's take a
Where
little
it
bit of a
ties in.
turn since you brought up rewiring and talk about that.
Yeah, it's actually all of it. It's the whole stages. If anybody's ever cold plunged or tried cold plunging and you dipped your toe in or your foot in and you're like, oh hell no, I'm not doing this. And then the next day you're like, okay, fine. And then you're able to get all the way up to your waist. And then you're like, after 5 seconds, you're like, okay, cool, I'm done. And then the next day you're like, okay, I got all the way in, but oh my God, is this intense? Oh my God, is this intense? Oh my God. And I'm breathing heavy and I'm breathing heavy and I'm breathing heavy and it takes about, and maybe you only last 30 seconds. But then the next day you go back in there and now it's a minute. And then the next day you go in there and it's a minute and a half. And after a minute and a half, you're like, I'm pretty calm. I mean, I'm cold, but I'm calm. And that was my journey with cold plunging, just like that. And now I get into the cold plunge and I stay in there for 4 minutes and it's about like 46, 47 degrees. And within 5 seconds, I kid you not, 5 seconds, I am cool as a cucumber having this conversation with you right now. I'm just like, okay, cool. Yes, we have another 4 minutes. All right, I'm chill. And when I noticed that that happened, because suddenly it was just, it wasn't like it declined from a minute and a half of like panic and heavy breathing. It kind of switched on one day where I got in there and I'm like, wait, I'm good in 5 seconds. And so I realized that what happened is the same thing that I'm teaching here with our emotions, is that I trained my nervous system to be familiar with the discomfort of this 47-degree temperature water and the tingling and all the, sensations that come along with it. I trained it for that so much so that it feels that it could discharge and acclimate to it in 5 seconds. And so same thing can happen with any area, any emotion, anything that right now you would label as I can't do it or it's uncomfortable to me. Start by dipping, just meet it every day as much as you can. We can't force our healing to happen all in one day. You have to go at a pace where you can still feel safe. Because the second you don't feel safe, you're in you're in survival, right? You're in a sympathetic state. And so whatever pace it is, you meet it for as long as you can. And then you just stay consistent and keep meeting it and meeting it. And next thing you know it, you're like, oh, that doesn't faze me anymore. Oh, I didn't have capacity to be with my kids constantly screaming. And now I can be with that. It doesn't faze me
Yeah. I can be out on this beach and look in both directions.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it is. We get familiar with the waves and then we could ride them and then we go for even bigger waves. And because here's the thing, life doesn't stop handing you challenges and opportunities for growth. It doesn't. You and I are both old enough to know that. And so it's not, healing isn't just about healing from your childhood traumas and stuff. And that's a big part of it, but that's just the start. It's about building your capacity to handle and navigate what life is going to hand you in the future.
Yeah, that's such a valid point because just when you think, all right, I made it through all that, and then life continues to happen. Like life will just
Right.
continue to happen. Yeah.
Right, right. And so that's a difference of making sure that you have the tools to navigate that. I've had so many clients from the past reach out to me out of the blue and say, "Oh my God, I just want to thank you because I just went through one of the toughest things in my life. And thank God for what you taught me in those tools because I wouldn't have been able to make it otherwise or make
Yeah.
it through the way that I have." And so that's the importance of everyone. It's about learning to really feel your feelings all the way
Yeah,
through, ride the waves, and question question who you think you are. Like, I'm a procrastinator or I am not trusting. Question the I am and really ask yourself, is this me or is this just what I learned? Because if you learned it, you can unlearn it and you get to be the creator of your reality.
beautiful. Well, I could certainly sit here and talk to you all a couple of hours longer, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe touch upon anything, well, any final thoughts before we end.
Oh my God, a lot of thoughts.
All
Oh,
right, pick
oh
one.
yeah. Um, I'm just, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. I really want to see generational trauma be a thing of the past, and for the industry that I'm in that has exploded since COVID, for coaches and healers and therapists, and those seeking healing to really be equipped and to know that healing is possible and that thriving is possible, not just surviving. And so, if that is you, if that's something you're seeking, I'd love to connect.
Awesome. So how do people connect with you?
I hang out on Instagram, so you can always follow me there. And I do message every new follower because I love getting to know the human behind the follower. As I said, I have a lot of my own resources or free resources or other people that I know and just love to support in that way. And then you could check out my offerings at trainingcampforthesoul.com, whether you are a looking to be certified in my method or looking for healing yourself, we have something for
Wonderful. All right. Well, it's just been so enlightening, and again, I so thank you for the work you do. It's just so
you.
important, and as someone who has come out of the other side, out of that darkness and into the light, and utilize so many of the things that you help people do, I just applaud you and thank you.
Thank you, Teri. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in.
Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag hope for healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. And I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to teriwellbrock.com. It's TERI, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.